Welcome to the Mike Litton Experience podcast. Mike has over 31 years experience in real estate, finance, and investing. He's passionate about being a father, a teacher, a realtor, an investor, and a leader. Everyone has a story, and our passion is to help them tell it. And now, introducing the host of the Mike Litton Experience, Mike Litton.
So what can you expect from the Mike Litton Experience? You can expect stories that will inspire, motivate, advice that will sharpen your focus, and expert information on real estate, finance, and market conditions.
Yeah. But I've since retired, so it's all good. Right? Yeah. But I talked to her. She's still kind of surprised that I went and retired since then. But she was, again, she just was sideswiped, and she didn't really know like it was something I was even thinking about. But it happened.
What branch did you join?
I joined the Navy. So I went down to Orlando, where they had the co-ed boot camp down there. And so from there, I went to electronic warfare A school in Pensacola, Florida.
Yeah.
And then once I finished that, I shipped off to the USS Cleveland. Now, this was in the midst of the Gulf War as it was kicking off in Kuwait. That's 91.
First Gulf War.
The first one.
Yeah.
With Papa Bush.
Yeah.
And so we I got to my ship in San Diego. Quick story to get to San Diego. While in high school, we were in the Tournament of Roses parade, the 100th centennial. And so we marched in that. Linda Shoemaker spearheaded that. She made sure that we were part of that. So we were. We attended that. So that's how I first came to know San Diego, California.
Yeah.
So a buddy of mine, when we landed here, leaving New York at a brisk, 10 degrees, I think it was at the time, come to California, and it was about, 73.
Right.
And it's a few days after Christmas, and you're like, this is incredible. This exists.
Yeah.
So we made a pact that at some point in life, we would return to this paradise.
There you go.
So after all of, the school and then boot camp and things like that, I finished, I think, third in my class. And I was just like, the orders were there to pick. And San Diego's one of them. I'm like, I'm taking that.
Awesome.
So I just came to San Diego. I haven't left since. But came here.
By the way.
Hey. So when I got to the Cleveland, walked down the pier, got to the ship, a lot of activity, logistics was happening, all the storage and all the, supplies were getting boarded, ammunitions and tanks. And they were like, first time to the Navy. I was like, what the heck? Sure. So I get on board, I check in, and I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to go out and enjoy my weekend. They're like, well, make it fast because we're leaving Monday. I'm like, Monday for what? Like, like, well, you obviously watch the news, right? There's still something going on over there in the Persian Gulf, so we need to go. Yeah. So I did.
So you were part of that buildup.
Yeah. So 8 months
500,000 service members, right?
Yeah. It was an ungodly number.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. And when we went out and we spent 8 months that go around, and came back after summer 92. Well, shoot, when was that? Like just around the turn of 92.
Yeah.
So it was about 9 months we were out there.
Yeah. How long were you in the Navy?
20 years. I retired. And that was my first of 13 deployments.
Oh, wow.
I did a stint of 18 months in Afghanistan for a while. And I thank the Lord every day that I'm here to say hi and be on the Mike Litton Show.
Well, we thank you for your service. Thanks for doing
appreciate you, sir. I appreciate
you.
Awesome.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So
13 deployments.
13. Yeah, it was a lot.
What's the single most important thing you learned in your Navy service?
Patience. And
said that fast.
Yeah. Patience. Because for me, I was a fiery kid from New York, so we're always, on edge.
Right.
The East Coast New Yorkers are always on edge. They're always kind of pushing things forward. We're fast thinkers. We don't have time. Hey, for some reason we don't have time. We've got 24 hours as much as anybody, but we just don't have time for things, right?
Right.
But so
there's too much to do and too little time to do it. Come on now,
to do, man.
Right?
Exactly. So that sort of mindset got kind of calmed down, not only from the military, but also being in San Diego. It was night and day. Everybody here was just kick back, laid back, relaxed, sort of that Hawaiian sort of Yeah, brother. Hang out and
That's
just have a
it.
good time, man. Life will be right here, dude.
That's
You know
it,
what I mean?
baby. That's it.
Yeah, bro. So coming here, that helped as well. But yeah, the military definitely gave me patience because we had to do a lot of it.
Yeah.
And wait, wait, and wait. And I understood, that everything that you do is going to affect something else.
Yeah.
And I learned that what I'm doing now will inevitably help somebody else.
Yeah.
So, like we're talking about, as far as people who have, given you that
Mhm.
push
Yeah.
to want to take what they've given you, and now you pay that forward.
Yeah.
It's a similar type of thing that, for me, has
Yeah.
always stayed with me, and that's what I continue to do as much as I
That's
can.
awesome, bud.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're doing that. And like I
Yeah.
said, it's one of those things that we get everybody's life story, right? So we have 270 plus life stories,
Yeah.
right, for this
Mhm.
podcast. And it's inevitable that there's a favorite teacher, there's a mentor, there's right. And
Yeah.
the more you succeed, like you all have in life, the more you've had mentors come in and go out of your life, and right.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's important. They invested in us. We need to invest in others, right?
Correct.
So it's a big deal. And Angie, you and I had that conversation not too long ago. That's how you guys ended up being invited onto the podcast, right?
Yeah. I appreciate it.
So
Yeah.
it was pretty cool. So let's talk for just a second. When I met you 10 years ago, were you
Mhm.
still in the Navy?
No, I
Okay.
because I would. Well, let's see. I was already out for. I retired in 2011. A quick story on that was I knew Angie's sister. Well, I was still in the Navy. She
Mhm.
was her sister Susanna was my neighbor's best friend. My neighbor turned out to be like this wonderful human being who now I consider almost a sister, an older sister to me. But that was Angie's sister's best friend.
Wow.
I had been in a previous relationship, that got me to that space. I bought the house up there, moved into this neighborhood. The neighbors were great. That relationship didn't work out. So hey, that's what things happen for a reason, right? So
Yeah.
you move forward. Because if that didn't happen, I would never have been in this position to meet the love of my life. So
Right.
I knew her sister though for like 10 years. Her
Wow.
sister Susanna for 10 years, and she made no mention of having a sister, a brother, a dog, nothing. It was always Susanna, her son, and then her husband, and that was
Yeah.
it. Those three that I knew for those 10 years. So in 2011, I was overseas again, one of my 13 deployments. I was out coming out of Japan, and I was off the coast of Thailand.
Mhm.
We were doing missions out there. We're not supposed to be there, classified stuff. But anyway, I got the call. This is like early February. I got the call that my father had passed away,
Oh, I'm sorry.
and that was it was sort of expected. Unfortunately, it was Super Bowl weekend. He was in the hospital doing a small in and out outpatient operation thing, little small thing, and I talked to him on the phone before he went in for the operation. He was in good spirits. He was talking about, hey, you bet me $100 on the game. So I was like, all right, well, I'll collect on Monday then.
Right.
So we joked about that, and then Super Bowl came and went, and then I got the call that night. Chaplain came into my office and told me, hey, unfortunately, this is the circumstances. And then I was like, all right, well, I can get out of here. But again, I was off the coast of Thailand, and they, so I had to get an LCAC. I dropped off at the beach by myself with a bag, civilian clothes, and just had to find my way to Bangkok Airport,
Wow.
then to Tokyo, Japan, then to California, then to Florida. But that year, I was also retiring. That year, I had also finalized a divorce.
Yeah.
And then after all of that, that same year and Thanksgiving, I met Angie.
Wow.
So
Wow.
that was in 2011.
So you had Thanksgiving at Susanna's house?
A matter of fact, Susanna and my neighbor Jody,
Yeah.
they called me. But I think it was the day before. It was like the 23rd of November, and they said, "Hey, Jay, you want to join us in Vegas?" And I was like, "All right, yeah, sure. I'm kind of busy. I got 1 week in the military left. I was retiring November 30th.
Yeah.
I was like, I got a couple weeks left, man. I got to wrap this up, And I was like, no. You want to go to Vegas? I was like, all right. So instead of going to the office and just handling some paperwork, I just called him up and said, hey, man, I'm not coming in today.
Yeah.
Kept on the 15, head up north, went out to Vegas. On the way to Vegas, booked the hotel where they were staying. And then it was, just after midnight, this young lady over here stepped into the lobby and my life changed.
Yeah.
So
I decided to show up too.
Rocked your world, huh? Rocked your world.
Oh, my goodness gracious, man. It was something else because it was hilarious because I knew Susanna for so long.
Yeah.
And she mentioned nothing about having a family. And then when I got to Vegas and I saw them, Jody and Susanna, and they were like, "Hey, my sister's coming." And I was like, I thought I thought your mom passed a while. Did she have a baby? Like, what's sister you're talking about? Like, who are you referring to?
Right.
She's like, "No, my younger sister." And blah, blah. I said, "All right, I don't know who you are right now. But okay.
Who are you and what have you done with Susanna, right?
Yeah, bro. Like, I'm like, who is it?" So, she showed up just after midnight. It was just after midnight on the 24th. Yeah. So it was Thanksgiving officially, but it was like a couple minutes into it.
Yeah.
And then she just steps into the lobby. I introduced myself. She introduced herself, and I was just like, okay, that was amazing.
Yeah.
And
what hotel?
Actually, we stayed at Buffalo Bills in Prim.
There you go. There you go. I know Buffalo
Bills. They wanted
Bills.
to meet, so we're like, all right, we'll meet there, and then we'll head on to Vegas afterwards.
Why not?
So that's where we ended up meeting. Yeah,
That's awesome, man.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
crazy. It's crazy,
I'm
bro.
happy for you guys. So at some point, you guys decide to start New Palace Realty. Number one, why did you call it New Palace Realty, and why did you start the company?
Well, I'll take that one because I wanted a vision of greatness, of big, like so that it could be someone's like castle, their palace, something like grandiose, like something like monumental as an impact to their life, like how it had been when my parents had gotten their first home, and it was their new palace, it was their new home, their new place where it was just over the top. So I worked around with different words and this and that, and Newcastle, and things like New Palace, and then I'm like New Palace. I'm like, oh, it's not Newcastle because Newcastle is already a town. I'm like, no, New Palace, what about New Palace Realty? Yeah. And I looked it up and there was no other New Palace Realty. I'm like, I'm taking that. So
awesome.
That's how it started. And, I wanted another little catchphrase to go with it. And it was making home dreams happen. And we trademarked it a couple of years after. And, that's like our tagline, like we make home dreams happen. Like anyone wishing to buy a home or, become a homeowner, we got you, that's
right.
That's
right.
That's cool. So talk to me a little bit about why you decided, because there are people that are listening to this, guaranteed. Okay. We're in 58 countries worldwide, you guys.
Yeah.
We just surpassed 2 million listens.
Congratulations to that. There you go.
So night before last, in fact.
Nice.
And we've been doing this 17 months, you guys. We're not even a year and a half old. So there are people listening to this that are thinking about starting their own business. What was it that compelled you to start your own business?
So I had started my first business, like, I had said earlier, like I was in college and I was taking courses to be a teacher. I took a business course and that impacted me to start my own business. I looked at, okay, how can I had, younger kids at the time. And I started my first business when I was 25. So I had an entrepreneurial mindset, like from the get-go. And
from when you were 7.
Since I was 7, yes. Well, I kind of just always go back and I'm like, I always was just always so entrepreneurial. So I started, my embroidery business back then. And then I just carried that on. I got into real estate. I was a real estate agent for, several years, but I always had that thinking outside of the box mentality. Like I wanted to do things kind of, my way. And I would run things to like my broker. Hey, what if I did this? What if I did that? And it's like, no, there's no business in that. That you can't do this, you can't do that. And you haven't known me by now. I always like to set my own boundaries, right? Like set my own goals and just kind of, go and do whatever. If I get an idea, I like to do it. And I don't like to be told no.
It's a little dangerous telling her no, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
So you're basically the yes man. right?
Hey, bro.
You know how I know that? Because you're still standing, dude.
Hey, bro. Hey, to get to this point, there's a whole lot of yeses going on.
We're
That's
still
right.
breathing, right?
Yes,
We
sir.
got
We're
some
still
scars,
here.
but we're still
There's
here.
a whole lot of acknowledgement, and okay, we'll get that done type of situation. Yeah. This muscle right here that allows you to do that. Strong, bro. Real strong.
Plenty of work.
Patience.
Plenty of
There's
work.
a lot of patience in the military. So,
That's right.
For me, it was just being able to deliver and bring to the table my ideas and my innovation that I, come up with. If I want to do an event to cater to veterans, if I want to do an event to cater to first-time home buyers, if I want to do an event to, if I want to do a parade or whatever I want to do, I want to be able to be in control of it, to decide what I want to do, decide what we're gonna wear, what we're gonna, be the production of it, be the producer, the writer, everything for it, and see the results immediately. I
You
like to
guys do a lot of events. I've noticed that. You do a
We
lot
do.
of events. You're really, really involved in the community.
Yeah.
And I
Yes.
feel like that's incredibly important. By the way, one of the reasons that you and I reconnected, I mean, obviously we've been friends on
Right.
Facebook since the radio show, right? Or actually before that. One of the reasons we reconnected was because there was somebody that was collecting toys for a toy drive last month, and she was attacked and assaulted, right? And one of the things that I did was I called you and I said, did anybody ever finish collecting the toys?
Right.
Right? Because we need to figure that out. And if they didn't, let's get that done, that kind of thing, right?
Right. Exactly.
And then we get into this conversation, we end up, hey, I've got a podcast, you guys need to come on, right? So a big part of what you've done the last 10 years, I feel like, is being involved in the community and making a difference, right? And I believe that a big part of the making the difference is just the education, the ability to educate people on, buying a house feels like it's this flippin' big
Right.
to a first-time home buyer, right? And
Yeah.
sometimes to people that are buying a second and third time. It's not this big, but it feels that way, right?
Right.
And your job, one of the things I think you guys do better than just about anybody in the industry is you help them figure out that it really isn't something they need to be that concerned about. It's not something they need to be, I mean, yes, it's serious, but it's not that giant, right? It's not they shouldn't be so fearful that they're paralyzed, right?
Right.
So, and buying a house like you experienced with your parents, buying a house and owning a house is something that can help people financially. And it's a big deal, right? And what you're doing, I believe, is sacred in terms of what you're doing to help people improve their lives and that kind of thing. So I have a question for you. From the previous brokerages where you worked for the 8 years before you opened New Palace, what's the one thing that you would hang your hat on that you improved or did differently with New Palace versus the brokerages you have experience with?
Education, I think you hit the nail on the head, is just educating our clients, educating my agents.
Yeah. You're
Having
big on that. You're big on training.
I am. Open door policy where everyone can collaborate. Like my agents all collaborate with each other, and we have a very, just open door, because where I came from, it was a closed door. It was agents were top agents, and everything was just closed. And I push my agents to say, elaborate on that. What did you do? What did you do to convert that buyer that came in from that open house to convince them to not writing up an offer on that property, like on that home, and share with the other agents? What was the conversation you had with them? What did you do differently? What did your flyers look like? And share with agents that are, maybe new in the business, or maybe somebody that's struggling with, trying to, convert on open houses, or just teach their clients on home ownership or loans, and always partner up with great lenders that are patient and are willing to explain and willing to educate our clients. I think that's been huge, and that's been instrumental in just getting the word out and being being proactive in the education aspect of it. Like, we want clients for life. We don't want, this isn't a transaction where selling. These are our clients that are going to be buying a home now, are going to sell it in a couple of years, and they're going to buy another home. And now we're into second and third generations where their kids and their kids' kids are buying homes, and their cousins or their co-workers. So I think that mindset of reaching out and expanding and touching everyone, or as many people as we can, has been just big, has been the pivot, that the change that I did once I became a broker in my brokerage.
Gotcha. So Jay, have you had as much fun as I think you've had the last 10 years?
Absolutely, sir. Yes. You know that was the answer when you asked it. Yes. Yeah, man. It's been one heck of a ride, brother. And like she's saying, we hold the growth for, as a word that I put at the forefront of thing, because, you know, growth in your education, growth in your family's wealth, growth in your mental state, growth in your health. These things we have to continue to strengthen every year, right? Just like we go to the gym for our bodies, physically, mentally, we have to be strong. Financially, we have to be strong. And relationship wise, we also have to be strong. So we tend to just dabble. Angie says it all the time. It's like, we're more than just, you know, realtors and real estate agents, man. You know, we're counselors, right? We're life mentors, right? Sort of that sort of things. We're educators in that regard too. So, you know, all these things that we take pride in, we put that towards clients. We put that towards our agents, so ourselves, so our kids, you know, our neighbors, friends, whoever we come across. You know, if we have something to give, a little nugget of information that I can give you, sure, you're going to get that. There's just, you know, there's no price on paying it forward and giving somebody the opportunity to better themselves. So if we can do it, we will. 100%.
Yeah. And I get that. And I think that's a big part. In fact, I know it's a big part of your success.
Yeah.
You guys are a big part of the community, and you're giving back all the time. And I think that's one of the things that people need to understand about your company, and also about both of you. That's where your heart is. You know, you're constantly pouring into your agents, you're constantly pouring into your clients, you're constantly pouring into your community, and you guys care. You know, you see your role in the community, and you're constantly expanding on it and doing what you can to help people. And I feel like that's a big part of why people should work with New Palace Realty. So let me ask you a question. Let's say somebody's listening to this and they're thinking about buying, they're thinking about selling, they're thinking about doing anything in real estate. How can they get a hold of you guys?
They can get a hold of us through our website at www.newpalacerealty.com.
Okay.
Or my cell phone, our cell phones. We also have a 1-800 number on our website, our social media platforms, New Palace Realty. And, you know, my cell phone number, 760-420-6191. Jay's number, 760-845-7814. Got that right?
That's right. You got it.
Yeah. And
she has that memorized.
It's crazy these times, bro, because usually just push a button.
Seriously, come on now.
We take pride in that. We take pride in that.
There's some serious talent there, right?
That's right.
You married up, my man. You
married up. Take pride in that, man.
That's it, buddy. That's it.
Man.
I'm telling you. Guys, thank you so much for being our guest on the Mike Litton Experience. This has been an absolute riot. I've enjoyed every second of it.
Yes,
I appreciate you.
And we're super accessible. Anybody can reach out, and we're available for, you know, educating and empowering people to create generational wealth in their families.
Absolutely.
In their business.
Guys, I appreciate you.
Hey, appreciate you.
We hope you enjoyed another episode of the Mike Litton Experience. If you did, do us a favor, smash that subscribe button, tell your friends, family, and coworkers about our program, and wherever you get your podcasts, please leave us a rating. It helps us to connect with quality people just like you.
And that's a wrap. Another episode of the Mike Litton Experience in the books. Reach out to Mike on Instagram at Litton Realty. Want to meet with Mike? Check out calendly.com/Rio760.